Hi, welcome to Blether and Paint. I think this is episode 6 and we're all set up with a big canvas today. I've forgotten my reference photo. I'm going to go big and wild today, if you can see this one. Going to just do a lot of colours really fast. It's kind of tricky this because big canvases like this, they do take more than an hour, and I'm going to try and do it in an hour because I don't want this to go on for 2 hours on YouTube and I really don't want to faff about editing. So we're just going to go for it, and I'm really hoping the new microphone means that the mic noise is better and you don't get quite so much annoying brush strokes going on. So I'm just going to crack on really a little bit. We're really stressed out at the moment because in about 3 days' time the studio closes for a while because we found dry rot, and I don't know, I'm hoping it's not actually in here. I'm hoping it's the room next door, which I'm going to take over at some point. It belongs to one of my neighbours. He's going to rent it to me, but we don't know. So work starts on Monday. I have to empty this whole space by then, and I don't know when I'll get back in, which, as you can imagine, is a little bit scary. So, you know, at the end of the day, I knew this was happening for a long time, and instead, this is the end of the summer holidays. The kids have like 4 days before they go back to school. And instead of being at that stage of like, oh, I'm so sick of the children, you know, we should go back to school, I'm actually like, oh, I've been working so hard and I've got so much work to do. I'm not spending any time with them. And, you know, I kind of feel like I'm wasting their holidays a little bit. And it's just unfortunate timing that it's happening like this. But there we go. It is what it is. I had an old boss that used to say that to me, and I was just like, what's the point of even saying that? It's kind of a senseless saying, but it's quite addictive too. It is what it is. So, as usual, starting with the yellows. And I just want to crack on really quickly and get some really bright pinks in this. I better put some yellow down the bottom as well, just for the sea bits, for the reflections. So I'm just going to chuck some yellow down here just for the future when I get down to this bit. I'm hoping you're not hearing those brush strokes quite as loudly as you were before, but who knows. Right, so that's yellow one. I'm just going to move really quickly on. I'm going to try not to talk too much about process in this one because I've been kind of listening back a little bit before I started watching this, and I do notice I tend to say the same thing over and over, and you must be as bored of it as I am if you've watched more than one of these episodes, which I'm not sure if anybody actually has. So yeah, I'm going to try and just stick with chatting away really. So why have I got stress? Why have I got stress? Because I try and plan ahead so I don't have too much on the holidays. It never works. Never ever works. I have these free gallery shows coming up. One's already started, works then, but you know, this old one, they asked for more, so that was a thing, getting it all, you know, framed up on my way back from holiday pretty much. I was like, oh, you know, day I came back from holiday, we got back about 5 o'clock on the Saturday night, and by 6 o'clock on the Sunday I was back in the studio framing. So yeah, and it's not really stopped since then, except it kind of has, because I've had to do a lot more childcare than I thought, because I mucked up what days the children's were at school club and what days they weren't. So I lost a day this week. I lost a day this weekend because a relative really wanted to see us, and they're over from France, and you know, it's years since we've seen them, so we kind of like have to just go and see them when you can. So that's the weekend, a day out the weekend where I thought I was going to be emptying my studio really nicely and gently and sorting everything out and doing skip runs and just, yeah. So that's gone too. So I've just got a couple of hours left today. This is Thursday. I have my lovely assistant coming in to help with framing tomorrow. So I will be doing some framing with her in and out, but I also have children all day and it's one of their last days of summer holiday and I do want to make it nice for them. I haven't even thought what we're going to do yet. So yeah, that's Friday. Saturday we're off to see relatives. Sunday, yeah, I'm going to have to kind of ignore the kids a little bit so my husband can help me take furniture up to skip, move everything, pull everything out of here, create space and empty this room. And in an ideal world, what I wanted to do at this point is stop and think, okay, let's take this chance to rearrange the studio completely, to paint it, to take away the scabby carpet and paint the floorboards. Now I've got this lovely cozy rug that I got for free on the floor. I can get rid of the horrible carpet and make it nice because I have a lot of clients coming in here and it's quite embarrassing because it's minging, but and it doesn't have to be, you know. And it's also for me, you know, I don't need to work in a horrible space. I could make it nice. It just takes a little bit of time and effort. But yeah, these things take time. Exactly, that's the point, and it's just the one thing I'm short of. And again, I'm looking at my paints and going, why have I got two identical ones out that are half open? It's not good. I keep buying this permanent violet and it doesn't really work that well, but should I have a crack at that yet? I think I might just keep going with this pink for a little bit longer and mix that with a bit of white, and then I'll start bringing other colours in afterwards, I think. It'll be a good base for whatever comes on top, I think. So, yes, it's going to be pretty hectic. And we kind of had this plan in place that because I'm taking over the big room next door as well as here, that they would do the work there first and then come and do this work. But because the work in here requires them to disconnect all the plumbing, disconnect all the electricity, literally sort of chop it off so they can take down the walls, I don't know when they're going to do that, and I need to be ready to, you know, if they think, oh, we'll just do that at the start of the job and then we'll get the electrician in at the back of the job, that could be my studio out for 3-4 weeks, you know. So I just don't know what's going on, and it's a bit scary. I kind of planned it, so I have this show coming up in October, November with 3 other artists. This is the first time I've done anything like this for a long time, or first time I've really done this. Lovely artist Jill Knight, she's super talented, go look her up, and she does really sort of quite similar to me, but really dark and moody, and she works on board rather than canvas, so slightly smaller scale. She's beautiful work. I bought one, I've got one upstairs. So she's sort of arranging the show of 4 artists. We're hiring a gallery in Edinburgh and we're just putting our own show on. And you know, it's so nice to be able to work with other artists. It's so lovely to be asked to join them. The other 2 artists are Kirsten Heggie, who has Allium Gallery in South Queensferry. Kirsten's absolutely lovely. Again, I met her at the Borders Art Fair last year. I've been sort of aware of her gallery for a while. It's been on my radar. And the other one is Sarah Anderson, who's very well known landscape artist. Again, I kind of like Jill. She does a bit like me, but much more bright and colourful than me. So, you know, she and Jill are like at the opposite extremes of me in a way. So it's going to be really nice to work with them. But because this show is in October, end of October, early November, and I have my solo show in Torrance Gallery, which is literally half a dozen doors away, about 2 months later in January, I kind of decided that this show, the show that I would do with everyone, I didn't want to give it up. I mean, I was so thrilled to be asked to do another solo at Torrance. But I didn't want to give up this show with everyone else. So I decided, you know, I talked to the girls, talked to Fiona at Torrance, and decided that the group show would be works on paper. So I don't do a lot of works on paper. Whenever I do, they're you know, it's the only sort of big society show that I get into. There's the watercolour one, and I get quite a lot, you know, I always sell at it. And when I was younger, that's what I exclusively worked in, was watercolours. So it is a kind of first love, but I don't do enough of it. I never feel like I have the time to just take a day out and go and sit and sketch. So, but now I have to, because one, I don't have a studio, and two, I have a show coming up where everything is on paper. So in a way, I'm actually dying to get on with that. I started sketching when I was up in the Highlands on holiday, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, a change. But I also needed to do this for Blether and Paint, and also there's lots of shows coming up, sort of juried shows. I sometimes go in for these, I sometimes don't. I never get in, so you know, it's kind of like throwing 40 quid away every time I do it. So, but this year I'm kind of feeling I should give it a crack. I should really, you know, focus on it and try and do it. I don't actually have time, because the deadlines are all, for the 2 or 3 that I'm thinking of, they're either in 2 days' time or end of September, basically. Right, I need a different palette. How am I going to do this? Because this one's all covered in yellow. I might just wipe off this palette quickly. Where's a rag? Lovely child's vest. I'll just chop a bit of this and wipe off this palette, because I need to mix some blues in, and they're just going instantly grey, which it's fine if they go grey eventually, but I don't want them instantly grey. I want them bright, and then I can blend them down. It's really hard to come back from a neutral colour to a bright. So anyway, yeah, I keep seeing opportunities that I think, wow, that would be amazing, let's go for that. And it's like, oh, 3 days' time. Well, I don't have a studio, I don't have any childcare. How on earth am I going to do that? I'm not really, am I? But, you know, it's always frustrating to limit yourself, really. Right, everybody, what blue should I use for this painting? I have no idea. Shall I just go for the old standard Prussia? I think so. And I'll mix it with a lot of white. I'll use a fresh brush for this. Where's my white? Oh, I need to get moving, I need to get cracking. I need to do quicker painting while I talk. I guess I do paint very quickly, but talking does actually slow me down a wee bit. What's going on here? Not quite working out too much. Right, let's just go with this super bright blue up here, and I'm just going to chuck it on, and then I'll worry about blending it in later. Sometimes it's all about getting the colour on, and then you can blend at leisure. But today is not leisurely. I need lots of white in that. And then I need to go back to this pinky brush. Again, I think I need a bright. I'm really running out of palette space. I'm not quite sure why today. This is where I need this purple for. Actually, no, I'll do some more in the bottom first. Jumping all over the place today. Is this brush too mucky now? Don't know. This is the perils of fast painting. Not clean palette, mucky brush, so that's not going to be a lovely bright pink, is it? I need a third palette and I don't have a clean one. Maybe I have a little one sticking around somewhere. Nope, they're all dirty. Okay, let's just go for it down here because it's a reflection. It doesn't... Right, I need some serious pink. And a fresh brush. That's what I need. There we go, that is some serious freaking pink. That's kind of what needs to be down here. It will get other colours on top of it and it will darken, but right now we need that pink on here. I would say it'd be a painting with wild abandon today. And I think I actually just want to take some of that in here. What I want to do is get a lot of dark purple down here, but I think I should just get all the lights in the right place first. Which I know it's looking like an ox dinner, but it always does at this stage. It's the ugly stage. Definitely. Which I hate because I don't like ugly paintings. But you can't avoid it really. We have to go through a mess to transform. I sometimes love looking at artists that are very loose and they've obviously got to the stage and gone, actually I kind of like that, and just stuck at this, and you think, wow, that's brave. I couldn't quite do that. Maybe someday I'll find that stroke of courage and be able to do that, but yeah, it's not yet, that's for sure. Just working out where else I need blues. I need a dark blue in here. Go back to my pinky brush, because I don't want soft pinks this time. What I want to do is try and leave that little bit of leave a little bit bright there, and just kind of work around it and soften down the purples and the blues together, but just leave a little bits of bright peeking out now and again. That's the plan anyway. And this all needs to be a lot darker, so I'm going to get this purple coming right down into it here. And I'll probably stick a bit of blue at the bottom of this. Oh God, just stop to look a bit. Oh my God, this is not great so far. Yeah. Just gonna get some white and blast it over here. Get another brush. Hopefully you can kind of maybe see as I do this how the blending starts to work, how you just add on a little bit here and a little bit there, and suddenly it sort of pulls out a slightly different colour from these absolute wild fierce colours that you're putting all together. Like, I know this blue is not this fierce, but don't go too far into that pink. And take this blue right round over into here, so it's just like a little touch of blue sky hidden behind all these kind of crazy colour clouds. And this is all seeming just my palette down a wee bit so I can work in the sky up here without stretching too much, and I can actually see what I'm doing. I think all this blue is slightly too dark. This way. Bit to the purple. This started off with a pink brush and now it's a blue brush, which is kind of annoying, but never mind. What we'll do is just try and work this down with some white down into here. So yeah, anyway, the whole dry rot situation totally stressing me out. And you know, I was trying to work out why am I so stressed? Just as, you know, because this is all first world problems really. And I think it has been busier than I thought. You know, I'm very lucky to sell a lot, but selling paintings is a lot of work in the kind of after sense. It's like somebody comes and looks at them in the studio quite often the day after they're painted. That's generally what will happen, is somebody sees it, loves it on Facebook, and you know, maybe 2 or 3 people love it. So I say, okay, come tomorrow, come and have a look. And they go, yeah, I'm going to buy it. So then you've got 2 weeks drying time, and then I've probably discussed a frame with them, so then it needs framed. Then it needs, even if it doesn't need framed, it needs kind of the edges painted, and it needs strung, and it needs titled, and then it needs wrapped, and then it needs delivered, and then it needs invoiced, and it, you know, it's doesn't sound a lot, and it's not a lot. It's all tiny little jobs, and it all sounds easy until you've got 10 of them going out at once, and you're sort of like, oh, these 3 needs framed in this style, and that 3 needs framed in that style, and this needs delivered here, and oh, they're not answering messages about delivery. Am I going to organise this delivery run or not, or just wait until somebody comes back to me and says they can be there? And I don't know. It's just all a lot more than you'd think. Not to moan about any of that, because it's amazing. Anybody wants to buy anything, really. it's just to explain why I get a little stressed, and it's very hard to sort of, you know, say to anybody else. I kind of like, well, you know, I was down the lodge one day this week. This is the day I got the childcare muddled up. Children were supposed to be in after school club. And I thought it was the next day, so didn't take them and arranged a play date and arranged for them to go to their granny's in the afternoon. And then granny cancelled. After school club phoned and said, why are they not here? I was like, oh, drat. If they're not here today, that means they're not going to go on the Thursday that I really thought they were going. And then granny cancelled because she wasn't feeling very well, which is fine. So we ended up in our local park, which is a festival running right now, so it was really fun. They were just running about like mad, playing with their friends, and I'll admit, the beer tempted me. I had the car, decided fairly early on, abandoned the car, and I sat and drank beer in the park all afternoon, which was lovely. But, you know, I did have that thing of my friend's husband sort of saying, so it must be great to, you know, be self-employed, you can take a day off anytime. I'm like, well, yeah, you can, but generally if you take a day off, you find out you're working that day the next day. It doesn't go away what you needed to do in that day. And he's like, oh, is that because you do commissions? No, no. And I find it hard to explain why does it take so long, and why it's not just all lovely picking up a paintbrush whenever it takes my fancy, basically. But it's kind of not. I'm kind of losing track a little bit here. I'm working in very quickly and I'm making some nice shapes, and maybe I should just go with it. I'm so busy chatting that I'm not actually thinking at all about what I'm doing, really. I'm jumping all over the canvas, but maybe that's fine. I'm sure that'll come good in the end, but I'm not making the shapes I kind of want to make, which are more, let's get some fierceness going on here. And then I need some white and yellow. Is that the rain on outside? Oh, that's not so good. Okay, I'm going to stop for a wee moment and pause and take a little break. I'm trying to do this quickly and I'm trying to do it too fast, and it's probably ending up disastrous. Hello again. I can hear upstairs children outside playing, so that may be slightly disruptive. Right, so I've had a sit, I've had a listen. I watched back and now I have a bit more of a plan. Well, I certainly did when I was sitting over there, maybe not so much when I'm back up here, but it's at that stage where I'm going to take some paint off, because this I want to be a lovely white bit. Do you know, I'm just going to say I may stop and fast forward this bit. Because this is kind of a crucial bit and I may forget to talk completely. The children outside might be really noisy, so it may be a case of this bit gets fast forwarded, but I'll keep it in but speed it up. So anyway, I'm going to get going and I'll try and talk over the children playing. Not my kids, but and I'm going to go back down here, different rag. This bit, far too dark. There's a little green going on here, which I kind of don't want. It's okay if I might just keep this as a hill line and take this out here so I can get some lovely colours in the sea. hoping the kids go away, because sometimes they come and look for frogs outside the window. I need a palette knife just to, I've got a big ugly hair in here. There's a really big curly one. I need to get it out now. A lot of the time, I have such an issue with brush hairs. It's not hair from my head. It might be hair from my head, but I don't think so. It's brush hairs that just. Oh my god, these kids are noisy. Just doing a little bit of soft blend in here. This wasn't the plan. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. But I don't know. I just quite like this bit here. And after that hair has come off, I just want to blend it a wee bit. Right. Okay. We need lots of white. I am using dozens of brushes, but never mind, we need a lot of pinky white at that, so I'm going to start just pinky white, chucking it on a little bit. And I think it's deceptive. You look at the sky and your mind tells you a lot of the time, this is blue. And you know what, it's not. It's all sorts of colours. And very little of it is actually blue. There are hints of blue, but there's not that much blue. It's certainly not that bright blue up there. I don't know what I was thinking at the start when I put all that on. One thing I'm going to try and do is sort out this bit up here, because I'd like to put this down so it stops making an annoying easel sound. I also notice I heavy breathe a lot in these videos, so apologise for that. Right, big brush, lots of pinky white, I think. Pinky white was what I decided I needed, and I'm just getting grey over here, so kids have gone slightly quiet. I was kind of hoping that they weren't actually quiet because they're standing listening and going, what's Fee doing? But I think they've just run away to a different part of the garden. We have a huge garden here, and we have constant wars because we have 8 sets of neighbours and they all want to use that garden for different things. There's a kind of 50-50 mix of retired couples and young families, and as you can imagine, they've got very different wants and desires and needs for what happens in our lovely giant big shared garden. Again, first world problems, but it was kind of a rocky summer. Actually, summer's not been so bad because the children have been playing slightly less. They've all been busy over the summer. Right, going back to this brush. Again, I keep losing this kind of pink here. I think I need more white on here. There's some grey left over from a wee painting I was doing yesterday, and it just keeps getting on top of things, I think. And I don't want it here, so I need a bit bright as well. I'm getting too detailed too early, but I do want a little bit of bright just in here. Just on the edges of this. So it's going to pick up a note. Right, this is actually a really dark area. I've painted it really light, and I need to now kind of darken that down and just have the lights around the edges almost. So that's going to be a little bit tricky. What I'm going to do is just start with a kind of purpley colour, and I can add some blue on top of that, and hopefully it can brighten as it wants. Yep. I really wanted this to be a pink painting rather than a purple one, but the purples just keep coming on out, so we'll just go with it. Paintings do what they want to do, generally. And you just kind of shepherding them on their way. At least that's the way I see it. I don't know if that's bollocks, to be quite frank, but it's what makes sense to me. You know, I don't. It's a funny thing. I don't sign my paintings in the front. A couple of reasons. I think it looks fugly when other people do it. I really don't like it. And I hate big splashy signatures. It's like, I want to see a painting. I don't really want to see your attempts at gaining yourself self-esteem. You know, I don't know. I'm very judgy about it. So I don't like big splashy signatures. But it's partly because visually I don't like them, but also partly because, you know, painting's a kind of funny thing. Yes, it's me doing it, obviously it is, but I kind of feel it. I don't want to sound hippie about this because I'm the least hippie-ish person in the world, but the best paintings kind of flow through you. I don't feel totally responsible for them. It's like I made them, but it's almost like a collaboration between me and the paint and the canvas and the mood and everything. It's not just about me, and that sounds really odd, but yeah, it's kind of how I feel. So, right, I'm just gonna go for some weird stuff down here. And I'm going to get this and scrape off a little bit. I want this horizon a wee bit lower, so I'm going to just pull this down a bit. So I can have softy, purpley things happen along here, but just... Oh, there is some cloudy stuff happening here, so that's fine. That works. I'm babbling now. Apologies. I did have a glass of wine when I was sitting there, so yeah. Oh well. I know I drink too much. It's a thing. I'm aware. Needs to change. But yeah, sometimes I wouldn't say it helps the process along, but it certainly makes it more enjoyable. For me anyway. And you know, I've been listening to a lot of artists' podcasts at the moment. I've, listening to one in particular. It's called, if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's called Art Juice. It's exactly, it's one of the reasons I started doing Blether and Paint is because I couldn't find a podcast like this a couple of years back. I could find an American one, but I don't always want an American perspective. Sometimes I want British people talking about British problems, and I couldn't find that. And that's for a long time. I thought I'll do a podcast because there's not one that does what I want it to do. But this one, somehow I managed to miss it on my radar coming up in the last year or two, but originally started thinking I want this 3-4 years ago. So I finally caught up with this one that does what I want it to do. It's just a podcast for working artists, for anyone who wants to paint, really, I guess. But very much the emphasis on the daily life of an artist, which is, 15% painting, I would say, for these guys as well as for me, which is sad but true. And, so it's all the other stuff that goes along with it as well. These particular people that do this podcast, they teach a lot, so that's not so relevant to me, but it's still interesting. But anyway, what was I talking about? They were talking about, it'll come back to me. I'll have a think in a second. It's starting to come together. I have no idea what I started talking about that for. Anyway, it is what I've been listening to constantly for the last month, and it's been really, really good, and I'm really thankful. for them for doing it. It's called Art Juice. Alice Sheridan and Louise Fletcher. Say they both run painting courses, which is not my bag, but I'm going to have to lift this up because I think I've just painted that horizon really squint. Oh, actually, lift it back down. I'll come back to this bit at the top later. I can't be bothered with it right now. I'm absolutely rambling. I'm quite tempted to pause and go back so I can remember what I was talking about. And why I started talking about that podcast, which is having a big effect on me. Or I'm really enjoying listening to anyway. Yeah, it's bugging me too much. I'm going to have to try and find the start of my chain of thought. Hello again. So, I've gone and sat down, listened back, and I still have no idea why I started talking about that podcast. But I'll carry on talking about it because it's been really interesting. I've had a lot of my preconceptions challenged, a lot of things confirmed. You know, it's just interesting hearing other artists that are probably, you know, they're obviously well known and whatever, whereas I'm not. I kind of fly under the radar, but they're actually kind of same stage in their career pretty much. You know, one of them's a few years ahead of the other one, but they're kind of 7, 8 years, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in, and enjoying success, despite not having a traditional art school background, which is very much me, you know, and finding their own way through it, which, to be fair, art school background or not, it's what you have to do. There, you know, art school doesn't teach you how to be an artist. I'd argue it doesn't even teach you how to paint that much, but I suppose it does do that a wee bit. Art school gives you time, and that's the gift of it. It gives you time to learn, to play, to develop, which, you know, and I've talked about a lot here, time is my enemy. I never have enough of it. I never have enough time to experiment, to learn, to anything. So yeah, anyway, that's starting off in another little rant about whether to go to art school or not. So anyway, these girls are also not art school trained. One of them's graphic design trained, which is sort of similar to me, design trained but not art trained. And the other one did all sorts of things and just came into an art career much later in life. I want to add some white into this and blend this a little bit. I'm kind of scared I'm going to lose a little bit of the vibrancy, but it kind of has to be done. But I'm just going to go for it. Because I really need to start putting the darks in soon, because I have 20 minutes running left in this, max, before it gets too long to be a YouTube video. And I'm nowhere near ready. So it's been really interesting listening to all this, and you know, I'm very lucky here. I do have a lot of really good artist pals. I think I said in the last Blether and Paint I had a lot to thank Alan from Fidra Fine Art for in my career, and it's not so much that he's you know, been a big supporter, developed my art. I actually think he doesn't like my paintings half the time, but he had this wonderful gallery in his house for years, and he had, you know, openings once a month. And that was a highlight, especially with very young children. That was a highlight of my social calendar. I would go along on a Friday night, and I'd be like, I'll be back in an hour, darling, to my husband. And I'd roll home 4 hours later, having spoken to a lot of really well-known artists, having made a lot of connections locally in this town, you know, because I only moved here 7, 8 years ago, and I've never had kind of arty pals. It's, well, you know, and I made a lot of local connections thanks to that, and learned, you know, it made a lot of artist pals, and that made a huge difference to me. And I became part of the North Berwick Arts Collective for a little while. I sort of gave that up a couple of years ago, and partly that was because going backwards to talking at the start of the show about summertime, and it always been difficult, and always trying not to work in the summer holidays. They have their main show every year to coincide with our little festival here, the North Berwick Fringe by the Sea, which sort of goes on at the same time as the Edinburgh Festival. So we always had a show during that, and it was always just a stress because our family holidays were always planned for exactly the same time. And Kit, my husband, works for Historic Scotland. They always had a big event up in Inverness the same weekend, and it was just always a drama. And eventually I just kind of thought, no, I don't need this pressure in my life. And I really love all the people in the collective, but it wasn't working for me in terms of, I just didn't need that stress once a year, every August, of trying to plan a show and always being behindhand with it and always feeling I was never putting my best work in. So I did come out of that collective, though I'm still really, you know, one of my best friends is still in it. One of my best friends also left for, I don't know what her reasons were, but it's probably similar. It just wasn't working for her. So yeah, I mean, we're lucky here. We do have a little arts community. You know, there's so many fabulous creative people around here, but still at the same time, everybody's different. Everybody's on a different path, and this little podcast very much chimed with the kind of artist that I am, that works with social media a lot, that, you know, I don't really do the gallery route, I don't really do the juried exhibition route that much. That's never quite worked for me. So it's been lovely to just listen to artists having the same concerns as I do. It's like, I can't even think of examples. Like, you know, they'll focus one week on open studios, and the next week on growing your Instagram followers, and the next week on, like, you know, how do you develop your art when you're kind of working in a vacuum and it's just you know, and just all very interesting questions. Right, I'm going to do the darks. I'm going to go for it. I'm ready. And do you know what? I love this bit, because this is when the painting comes to life for me, is when I put the darks on. Because that's the beauty of a real night sky, is that kind of, it's the silhouettes and I don't know. Right, I might just stop talking for a minute and paint, because that would be sensible, and mix up a lot more darks. I don't know if I should use a big brush, but I'm going to use a little brush just now, just to start me off. And I'm going to stand a little bit legs akimbo, just to focus on the marks I am making. Well, I hate that phrase, mark making, to be quite frank. Yep, it's going to go all the way over, and I'm just going to keep dark, and it's going to go right up into here. I'm just muttering now. Though, now I have my shiny new mic, you might actually hear my mutters. I'm quite glad you can't see me though, because I'm squinting at this point, because I don't know, quite a lot of the time I do paint with my eyes half shut, just to see the colour values. At least I think that's why I do it. I don't really quite know why I do it. I'm hoping I haven't put too much white in here, so this is going to go on nice and sharp. That's what I want. I have to be a little bit bold at this point. I have to pick up a lot of colours. Keep making sure my brush is not too diluted but I don't want to get too dark either. Oh, tricky. Just keep going in the darks here. And there's something happening here that's quite... I need a bit less blue in that. I need to blend it. I keep going, ooh, sorry. Oh dear. We have to fast forward this bit because I've stopped talking because I'm thinking about what I'm doing a wee bit. And getting down, a minute ago I was like, I'll keep loading up my brush so there's enough dark in it, and now I want less. I want to soften that down. Just work against these really white bits of canvas. And maybe get a little bit more purple. This is a really fun bit of painting though, definitely. Definitely the fun bit. And because I'm videoing myself, normally I think I'd probably step back and check, sense check a little bit more. But I'm just kind of going for it here a wee bit. But I know that I will, oh, I need some white in that. Sorry, interrupting myself. I sort of meant to do this earlier and I forgot. Because that blue, oh, I need a pinky white. It's too fierce. Going to take it down a notch. I want to blend in with the stuff. It doesn't really matter if this stuff gets darkened down. It shouldn't be as light as it is. It's reflections. And I kind of want that. I also want a bit of yellow in here actually, wildly enough. Not often I put yellow in at this late stage of the painting. A bit of a mess right now, but that's okay, we'll pull it back. Right, again with the darks over here, but not quite so dark. I really want an intense reddy pink to this little section down here. And it's already quite reddy pink, but get a little bit darker so I can layer that up a little bit more successfully. Okay, we're going to go back to our dark. In fact, I'm going to get a big brush and do some darks. When I do that flicky thing, it's just some of the brushes are like really old and really grungy, and that's a pain. Just going to make a new pile of dark over here. So I'm just checking how much paint there is on the brush, how sort of pliable it is. I never throw them away because there's always a use for them. Sometimes you want quite a stiff brush, but I need to always just check where they're at before I know what I'm going to do with them. Right. That's more like it. Bit of that coming in. I think I want this. I think that was a mistake. Never mind. Right, where are we at? Where are we at? Oh my goodness, it's always wild when you do this. But I'm going to make a bold move. I'm kind of feeling this sky needs some dark to make it work. So I'm going to be slightly foolhardy here and go full on with this brush. This colour. I love this colour down here, and I'm probably going to wreck it by just adding a little bit dark into it. And up here, it definitely needs, I need some more. Is this purple, or, I know I had some, oh, maybe I didn't never squeeze some purple out. Maybe it was all the quinacridone. Where's my quinacridone? Where are you? Here you go. No, it's cad red. There we go. A little bit of the quinacridone. A lot of the quinacridone. But I'm going to put some of this really dark purple. I'm just going to make some big marks and just go a little bit wild with it. Which I may regret. Who knows? Sometimes you just need to be a little bit brutal. Up here we need a cloud. Cloud with a little bit of bite. And this stuff all needs blended. Sorry about all the easel noise. I'm jumping about the place because I really want to get this finished. It's really wild painting. There's bits where there's too much paint in the canvas, like up here, where I've just got it slightly wrong at the start and I'm having to add white onto white, and that's never fun because it's all gooey and icky and doesn't quite blend nicely. But it's starting to get a little bit of energy, I think, and soon I'm going to come in with a palette knife and really have fun. But I think first I need to just go a bit wild with the blending. I use these giant brushes for blending, and I'm just going to this is why I try and reserve areas of really bright colour, because it doesn't survive the blending. I really apologise if you get some heavy breathing at this point. I'm kind of standing, jumping about the place a little bit. I probably need a different one of these just to do the lighter bits. Start at this side now, and ooh, I might just, I'm seeing this big pile of white down here that is not reflected in the painting, so I'm just gonna try and get that canvas. Again, apologies for the squeaky noises. It is what it is. Again, it is what it is. Yeah. Sometimes it's noisy. Right, so I've done that, and do you know, it's a weird thing. I'm going to let it sort of hold dry for a wee second, because that liquid needs to dry a wee bit. Where is my other? I call these brushes schweffs. This is just a word I make up myself. Schweff, schweff, schweff. I don't know what it means, but yeah. At some point in the painting I go, oh, it's time for a schweff. Yeah. I'm sure the normal word is just blend, but that didn't quite work for me, so I made up my own word. There's a little bit missing along here, really lovely glowy pinkiness, and that's too white. I need to add a bit of glowy pinkiness. And then down here, I think we're just going to attack with a palette knife now. It's kind of wild, it's not quite working. That's okay. I might just I'm not so worried about reserving brights down here because they shouldn't be brighter than the sky, they should always be a little bit darker. Now there's some serious darks that need to go on the rocks. I need to be absolutely happy with the sky first, and I'm not sure I am. I think there's something going wrong in the clouds here that is just... It's a bit too stripy now. Ooh, maybe I need to take a bit of this out again. And again, this is going to come down into here, just these lights. That was too much. There's a good brush for down there. This is a really bad habit. I check what colour's in the brush by rubbing it against my hand. This is not probably the right colour, but and I am sure this up here needs to have a little bit of texture in it and a little bit blended into here. And it might be time just to have a wee play with what's going on up here. This needs a wee blend, definitely. This is just a bit of a mess, actually. This is probably the bit that I'm going to fast forward. I don't know if I'm still already fast forwarded at this point, because it's just all about the technique right now, because I'm trying to finish this goddamn painting, and I know I'm taking too long. Right. Definitely some blending up here. And maybe a little bit of taking out down here. Not a lot, just a little bit. Okay, I think I'm good now to put the horizon line in. It's kind of there, but I need to put it in a little bit tighter. I'm going to take a bluey purple for this. Just darken it up a wee bit. And then I'm going to put the darks in, and then we're going to call it a night. I really am standing legs apart for this bit. I used to tape this, but actually, yeah, Yeah, can't be arsed. I prefer it when you just kind of swing along and do it. That's going to be, I want it to be slightly lighter on this side. How squint is it? Not too bad. Okay, so we need to maybe then just put in some of these little fifey hills. We have the little patch of fife here. Oh, I need more red for that. I kind of wanted to make this a little bit abstract today, or a little bit freer, and it's a funny thing, but maybe actually being freer almost takes more concentration, and because I'm chatting through it, I'm not quite, I just want to turn these into hills instead of, clouds instead of hills up here, and, oh, a little purpley cloud up there or two, not too dark, just about this colour, but yeah, just taking some too fierce. Right, we're going to do it. We're going to put in now, we're going to get the palette knife, we're going to mix up a really lot of dark, and we're going to start playing on top of this foreground. And kind of like the sky's doing what it's doing. It's doing what it's doing. It's almost there. Might just add a little bit more oomph into this bit here. Oh, that'll have to blend now. That's not quite right. Never mind. Okay, so no, I'm done. I'm gonna finish off. So I'm going to take this big chunk of blue and purple and pink, and I'm going to mix it all together. I'm going to start making some darks marks. First, I'm going to quickly, there's a big rock here, a really big rock that's standing out against that sky, and I think it's quite often would kind of almost skip putting that in, but this time I am going to put it in. I'm just going to be bold and go, there's a big rock here. I think I discussed this in my last video, that sometimes you want to hit some silhouettes with a little bit of colour first, just to soften them. And then you want to go, yeah, you're a big freaking rock, aren't you? Really big rock. And you're just sitting here doing your rocky thing, being a bit wild. You get other rocks round about, you're doing rocky things. And then there's a line of rocky stuff happening on here. Which again, I probably should have softened up a wee bit, but I didn't. I've kind of stopped looking at what's actually happening here and just going for play. I know that it comes way up here. You need a bit, you know, if you're dealing with organic forms, you need a bit of randomness in your marking. I could spend 3 days really slowly going over these by brush, but I actually find that quite soul destroying, the thought of it. And also it's far more realistic when you get this kind of randomness of your palette knife picking up things and oops, chucking things. Excuse me, I'm wearing slightly saggy leggings because they were very tight and I had a sore tummy, so I cut them open. So they're falling down a wee bit. Stand out of camera to pull them up. I'm out of all that dark already, so I need to mix up a wee bit more red, a wee bit more pro, a wee bit more blue, chuck it all together. As I've said previously, I mean, some artists use lots and lots of black, lots of plains grey, Mars black, all the rest of it. I prefer to mix from the colours I've already used in the paintings. I feel that gets a slightly more natural effect, and maybe I'm just a bit of a wuss and that's the way I was taught. Well, I wasn't really taught, but that's the way that I kind of picked up, was the way that you were supposed to do it. I'm just going to put some... I don't want to put totally random rocks in here. I'm back to looking because I kind of need to understand a little bit what's going on in the actual reference photo. But what I do need is a nice straight line along here. I can find that quite hard with palette knives sometimes, is getting a straight line. But maybe that's sort of starting to work and you start to get the feeling of it. And what I need to do, this is quite a tricky one, is I need to pull lots of darks and blacks all over that kind of sandiness, because you always have lots of pebbles and little dark shapes, and I don't want it too black, but I do want to kind of like just go, okay, there's something happening here. So I'm going to just plough into these wee guys a little bit and go. Make some shapes. You have to just kind of not worry too much about fucking up here. Excuse my language. Oh my goodness, I'm not supposed to swear in this because children watch it too. Or may watch it. You see, I've put all these kind of clunky big moves on my palette knife, and then I'm taking a brush and going over them, and that's just kind of, yeah. I need to do something down here. Oops. Oh yeah, that was dangerous. I kind of want some not pure black on my palette knife now, because I'm going to do some stuff down here that is just a little bit more, but then maybe do you know what, I'm really bad for this, not paying attention to the bottom of the canvas, and it looks fine when it's on here, you can't really see it, But in reality, when you get that kind of stripe of white down the bottom of the canvas, it's not good, because a lot of the time these will be framed in box canvases where you can see all the edges of painting. I will edge them and cover up the paint marks, but I'm just kind of going for it a wee bit now. There is an island over here that has to come in now, and actually I feel like that horizon line has to be a little bit darker, which is annoying because I've already put this dark in, and that's going to be a bit crap. Shit. That's what I say to that. That'll work. Right, so we're going to go and put lamb in, and it sits around about here, I think. Again, I'm going to use some quite darks, but this will blend in a little bit more naturally because I'm putting it on top of kind of painted bits, but not with a palette knife. So, sorry, I'm just talking through this now. If you were listening for the stories in the chat, then you're long gone. If you're listening for any kind of techniquey stuff, then you might still be here. Who am I kidding? We're over an hour in. Nobody's still here listening. I'm just talking away, going, finish, finish. Yeah, I'm really quite done now. Kind of want to just stop and finish. Right. This whole bit is a little bit, it's just a bit haywire. Maybe I should put some white in it instead. That canvas is going to fall off again. Right, now I might just do something a little bit wild here. I'm going to take a little palette knife. I'm going to take my super bright pink, my quinacridone, mix it up with some white, maybe some cad red as well. Try and get a really bright colour and just give a little hint of it in there. And down here, and maybe just over there. Just that sense of the odd moment of bright water. But I also need to just, work out what's happening here. Get this doing some kind of weird kind of ripple effect over here, which I have no idea how I'm going to do. Right, and the next thing, I never tried this before, but I'm going to do it because I need to try and pull back a little bit of purple and white up here. I'm thinking if I put it on with this, because it's kind of one of these things, as above, so below. If I've got this bright purple happening down here, I need to somehow catch it in the sky a little bit too, and I haven't so far. I'm gonna try and do that. I've never really, I kind of feel like soft brushes are for sky, palette knives are for ground. You know, you don't get any hard lines in the sky, you do get hard lines in the ground. But let's have a go at just blending that in and seeing if it stays. Maybe, don't quite know. I think, again, not something I normally do. I'm going to get a load of white for the sky, and I'm trying to gently peel this white off and not take the pink with it. But again, I'm going to take that white and chuck a tiny bit of it down here and also below. So, next thing, this is looking a little bit harshly silhouetted, so I'm going to take some purple. Where have we gone? Purpley stuff, and I'm going to kind of go over this and just throw a little bit of colour onto rocks. Maybe it needs to be more red. Just want kind of, where's all the red gone? Red and purple together, and just kind of mix up a little bit. Gives the rocks a little bit of texture, softens that kind of silhouettiness, which I'm sure I've said many times. I'm not a big fan of big black silhouettes, and I've just done a load of them. So because I put so much lovely blacks on already, there's a lot of room to kind of play about and mix and give some depth in here. Oh my goodness, this is going to go into hours and hours and hours, this video. But I swear I'm nearly done. Stay with me, stay with me. Don't just look at the start and go, I'm not watching that, it's 3 hours long. Try and give a little bit of, I mean, these kind of, to me, when I'm walking along the beach at night, these shapes are indistinct, and I don't want to make them too precise, you know, because that's nighttime. It does kind of blur your vision a little bit, and that's what I kind of like to capture, that kind of softness of things not quite being real. I think that's what I love about Twilight, and why I always love painting sunrise and sunsets. Yes, of course, they're beautiful, but I have always dreamt in Twilight. I don't dream in full daylight. So to me, this kind of world, this is a dream world, and you know, this is the world of where anything can happen, because it's a dream world. I just want to darken all this down a little bit, so we're getting that kind of and then this last in. I'm pleased with myself because I have such lovely brights at the start. I can go over them, I can make shapes, I can do things, and it's fine. What I need to do though is give a little bit of purpley dark in here. Oh no, I've gone too far. I just feel like that bit has to be as dark as I think we might be done here for now. I still feel the top of the painting's not quite working, it's too dark. I might just try and get whack some more white on up there. But I'm not sure if I can totally fix that without actually that was just a bad move at the start, putting all that blue on. Didn't quite work. I'm going to have to put my leggings up again, excuse me. You guys are not going to want to see my tummy. It's not a pleasant sight. Saggy, middle-aged lady tummy. Tell you what I don't have is enough texture in this bit, and it's actually gone too light now, but that's going to be quite tricky because there's no way I want to go over that dark stuff and start pulling that in. I just want a bit of texture in this, so it's not just a band of white. And now I've got this stripe in it that I can tell any second now I'm going to whip out some of the darks from this and spread them, and it's going to be bad, but that'll do. Okay, so lamb doesn't look quite right. That's about the only little issue. Let's just get some paint and go over this little island. It's just looking a bit too, one a bit too strong and two a bit too the wrong shape. So I'm just gonna go back in here, put some texture in, and put the little lamb. I can't remember what this is called. There's a tiny little island at the bottom of the lamb, which I'm just trying to paint in. And oh, ouch. I did not mean to do that. Oh no. Oops. I don't know what to do now. Get another brush and maybe wipe that off, I think. Oh, that's annoying. It'll all work out. I just want to straighten that out a wee bit, but okay, let's get some actual paint on here. It will work out. I think if I stick a little bit of blue down here, that might work. The last thing I need to do is just sort out this little fifey bit that's just can't quite tell what's hills and what's fife and what's blue and what's... There we go. But that needs to... over here. Yeah. It is what it is. There's lots of mistakes in this painting, but that's what happens when you try and paint really, really fast. I'm at a stage where I need to stop and look. I really want it to be finished. I'm just not quite sure if it is or not. We'll see. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please like or comment if you made it this far along, because nobody sees these and I'd love a few people to see them. It'd be really lovely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Okay, so I just tried to do a little end video where I said, oh, I went back and did a bit more and now I think it's done. And then I noticed something else that needed done. So I just did it. I think I'm done now. I think I'm at the point where, you know, if I do any more, I'm just going to overwork and ruin what I have. And what it is it's big, it's bold, it's got a really big pointy rock right in the middle. Anyway, that's it. Pointy rock is done. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you're a legend. Good night.